Sparta, New Jersey. The time is 7:25. The town council executive session closed, and we are now in the regular meeting. All council meetings are now live streamed and can be viewed at the following link, www.youtube.com/SpartaTWP/streams. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the public and press on January 10th, 2025, by delivering to the press and posting on the township website a copy of the notice. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Scott.
Here.
Councilman Blumetti.
Here.
Councilman Chiarello.
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Mayor Scott.
I mean,
I mean Mayor Clark.
not yet.
I apologize.
I'm here. Okay, salute the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a proclamation in light of Black History Month, and folks may have noticed that we have the Pan-Africa flag. I don't know if it's still flying in honor of Black History Month. Unfortunately, the recipient of the proclamation was unable to make it tonight, but we will get that to them, and I will go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas Black History Month is celebrated annually in February to recognize the contributions that African Americans have made to American history, and whereas Black History Month provides an opportunity to reflect on the significant roles that African Americans have played in shaping our nation's history, and whereas Black History Month is an opportunity to celebrate the achievements of African Americans and to recognize their central role in American history, and whereas the month of February was chosen for Black History Month as it marks the birth of Frederick Douglass, W.E. Du Bois, Langston Hughes, and Abraham Lincoln, whose actions greatly impacted the lives of the American Black population and grew out of Black History Week, which was traditionally celebrated during the second week of February and expanded in 1976 as part of the nation's bicentennial. And whereas the Township of Sparta invites all residents of the community to renew their commitment to ensuring racial equality, understanding, and justice for all, and their efforts to advance the cause of equality for every person, regardless of race, creed, or religious preference, creating a world that is more just, peaceful, and prosperous for all. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Township Council of the Township of Sparta does hereby proclaim the month of February as Black History Month and encourages all residents to honor the history and contributions of African Americans in our nation, state, and community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have no minutes to approve tonight, and so that leads us to the manager's report. Manager Zepp, could you please provide us with your manager's report?
Sure thing. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Sparta residents, both present and on our YouTube stream. At our last council meeting, I recognized several groups who helped run our annual rabies clinic. Unfortunately, I unintentionally left out the largest contributor to this event. Without their support, the annual rabies clinic would not be possible. I want to extend my gratitude to our municipal clerk's office, including Roxanne Landy, Tyann Acevedo, and Beatrice Pippa, for their hard work in organizing this event and licensing pets year-round to ensure their safety. And I apologize again. The Sparta Library is pleased to announce the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. Funded by the IRS, this program offers free tax help to low to moderate income individuals and families, senior citizens, persons with disabilities, and those with limited English proficiency. The library hosts this program on Fridays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Tuesday evenings from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Time slots are limited, and interested persons must schedule by calling Norwest Cap at 973-784-4900, option 4. Sparta's Recreation Winter Carnival was held on February 1st at the Sparta Middle School. There was a steady crowd of families throughout the event. On behalf of the Recreation Department and myself, we thank the community groups who attended and assisted in making this another successful attempt. As a reminder, the Circle of Friends preschool registrations for the 2025 and 26 school year opens on February 15th. The preschool is located on the lower floor of the Sparta Library. We are experiencing a period of inclement weather with more forecasted tonight. Please take your time and stay safe out there. Chief McCarrick will now read his portion of the mayor's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zepp.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Zepp. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Tonight, I just want to give a little bit of a year-end review for our use of force with the Sparta Township Police Department. The Police Department ended the 2024 calendar year with approximately 36,986 calls for service. During those 36,986 total incidents, the Sparta Township Police Department only used force on a total of 25 incidents. This equates to our officers utilizing force options on 0.0675% of the total incidents handled. For each one of those use of force incidents, our department conducts a thorough, detailed, meaningful review of every incident. These reviews are completed initially by an officer's direct supervisor. Then they are reviewed on a command level by a lieutenant and a captain. The final review is completed by me as the chief of police. And during the initial meaningful review, the supervisors and command staff review all reports associated with the incident. Additionally, every recording from all radios, all telephone recordings, all body-worn cam recordings, all motor vehicle recordings, and any other public or private video, audio recordings associated with the incident are reviewed. Also, all statements involved and all reports with the incident are reviewed. Once all the pertinent information from the incident is reviewed, the supervisors and command staff will compare all aspects with our policies and guidelines and the Attorney General guidelines to see if there's any need for additional training or retraining, policy change, any equipment that may be needed, or disciplinary action within the internal affairs process. Our captain will create a detailed analysis and breakdown of the incident with their recommendations of the above mentioned and provide it to me for my review. If I disagree with the recommendation, I will provide my written direction on how to proceed with the appropriate supervisors. At the end of the calendar year, I conduct a review of all of our use of force and all of our vehicular pursuits incidents utilizing the analytical data from the state's reporting portal, Benchmark. Once my review and analysis is completed, this is reported to our county prosecutor's office and our attorney general's office. I'll make this report available once our year-end annual report is complete. It is important that we as officers know when to use force and how to use force properly in accordance with the Attorney General guidelines and our department policies and procedures. Each of our officers had just undergone 4 hours of defensive tactics training led by Detective Matthew Pletcher, who is a certified defensive tactics instructor from the state of New Jersey and comes with a long history in mixed martial arts. Our goal is to continue to have our officers train as much as possible in this area and also with our de-escalation skills. I'd like to thank Sparta Schools Superintendent Dr. Beck for allowing us to use the facilities for this training and continue training in the future. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right.
I move that we
Yeah, go ahead.
approve the manager's report.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The manager's report is approved. We're now at the first public comment period. This is for items that are not on the agenda. Again, I repeat, not. So if you look over the agenda and see, hey, I really want to talk about this, now's not the time. You will have an opportunity later on in tonight's proceedings to do that. So if anyone, and again, please state your name and address for the record.
Jerry Murphy, 161 Alpine Trail. When I was in public service, I had some credentials. Does that mean I get additional time?
No.
Yeah.
I had credentials that included,
We're having a, please keep going. I know that's distracting. I apologize.
nah, not at all.
Okay.
Of being an RPPO with an additional designation as a QPA. And I just have some clarifications I need. Mayor, you had made a motion during the reorg meeting to appoint Mr. Dash to the position of, and that's what I don't know what he currently is. What is his designation?
Oh, he's the municipal attorney for the Township of Sparta.
Okay, so he's not a conflict attorney.
No.
Okay. How did you go about determining whether he has the qualifications for that job? Did you use an RFQ and an RFP?
Well, we followed the laws and procedures that are allowed so that, and I think I spoke to this issue at the reorganization meeting about his qualifications.
Well, that's what I'm questioning. Exactly, did everybody on the council get to review his qualifications?
Yes.
Okay. Did you publicly advertise for the position of municipal attorney?
We were not required to do so and did not.
Okay, that's fair. Then how did you determine who else might respond? Did you only send it out to one person? Or multiple people?
No.
No what?
No, we did not.
You only sent a request for,
But we followed the rule, and I will repeat that we followed the rules and procedures that a municipal township can follow in the appointment of a municipal council.
I'm not
We followed
familiar.
those, so that's probably going to be my answer to almost all your questions.
well, can you give me a specific citation that you used?
This is not a Q and A. This is a public comment period.
It's not a trial by jury. This is a question, and I have every right as a citizen to ask about selection process. So if that's your answer, I'd like to apologize for the public or people streaming in. I'm using a lot of acronyms like RPPO, which stands for Registered Public Purchasing Official. QPA is a qualified purchasing agent. RFQ is request for qualifications, and RFP is a request for a proposal. It doesn't look like we've used any of the latter two. Mayor, are you familiar with another acronym, SRD?
Yes.
Mr. Scott, you familiar with SRD?
This is not a Q and A period. It's
Would
a
you
public
please just
comment
answer the
period.
question? SRD, do you know what that stands for?
I have
Doesn't
no
have
answer,
to.
sir.
You have no
We're
answer?
going to give you some latitude here, but I
All
think
right, well,
under,
just
no, under
define
the
it.
Oakland, this is you have a right to witness the proceedings. It's not participatory. Now we're granting you latitude because you're an esteemed member of this community. You've held very esteemed roles, including mayor of this township. But by the Open Publics Meeting Act, this isn't. Councilman Scott is correct that it isn't a Q&A. But you could, if you have questions, if you want to make a point, make the point.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Well, just to clarify, the public is allowed to ask a question. We're not under any obligation to answer the questions.
answer it.
This is not a jury trial or anything like that. I just would like some straight answers. So evidently, I think you all know what that stands for. I didn't for a long time. It didn't matter to me. But it seems to me there's a conflict. And I think every single person on this dais knows what SRD stands for, and I think you all have interconnected at one point or another in time. And I just think that the selection process for Mr. Dash is tainted.
Just for myself, I don't have any connection. I've never made any donation, nor have I
Well,
participated in any online.
You raise an excellent point. Who has made a donation? Anybody on this dais here funded anything to do with SRD? And I think the public should know, I think it stands for Sparta for Responsible Development. Am I correct?
You are correct. That's what it stands for.
Okay.
So I don't mean to cut you off. If your point you're trying to make that somehow is the one which I think Diamond Chip has made about a conflict that we've received legal advice on that. I'm not going to give you what that advice was, obviously, because I'm not going to waive the privilege. But we're fully aware of that issue. We are dealing with it. We are not putting a blind eye to it. So I can reassure you, we're aware of that argument. I'm not going to get into the merits of it or what our ruling is on that, but just so you know, for your purposes, we are aware And you can make that argument all you want, and that's the same argument I think Diamond Chip is making.
I don't know. There are merits to it, and I'm not making an argument. I just think there's very definitely a conflict that one person responded to the submitting qualifications for municipal attorney.
Okay.
That's egregious. I'm sorry. I think the people are out to lunch. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment.
Scott Knoll, 9 South Hayward Road in Sparta. First, I want to thank all of you for your commitment to the town and the community. It's a lot of work to be up there, and I appreciate that. And I say that because I'm going to ask you to do some more. I'm here tonight to ask about the potential financial impact to Sparta due to Doge and Elon Musk. It's safe to assume that Sparta might have delays or even elimination of federal funds as a result of the processes that are going on. My question is, what might that mean for our community? I see 5 significant areas that the removal of federal funding might impact. Direct loss of financial support from federal resources. You gave an example tonight of the IRS funding and providing aid. That's probably not going to continue, right? Like those kinds of discretionary programs. But even just walking around the building, there was a bunch of stuff that potentially gets its funding. So understanding what the impacts to what we can do in the community. Loss of tax revenue due to impact on businesses that primarily support federal activity. Loss of tax revenue due to federal employees losing work. For example, Picatinny, which is right nearby. Loss of oversight services for water safety, hazardous waste issues, land management. I don't pretend to know all the processes, but if we have to get approvals for different kinds of actions and those agencies don't exist, that's going to make it very cumbersome for people to do business in town, right? There'll be no way to do what we mandate them to do. And then the loss of agencies that provide emergency response or disaster recovery services. It just seems to me that it would be better to assess what is sourced federally to understand what the impacts are so that we're ready. And that would be my challenge. My ask is that we get a report back about, the main things. I don't expect, exhaustive, but where there's major funding or agency issues that are going to be an impediment. Obviously the impacts can be viewed as necessary or disastrous depending on your political views, but I don't think that we're doing our duty as citizens and as a council if we don't prep in advance. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Noel, I think you've made a very good point. I think that I don't know the answer to that, how much of, the extent that we rely on federal funding, federal administrative support. It's a very good question. And I think, you're right in the exercise of diligence, and we should probably do some type of assessment. It may turn out that we don't use any of it. I don't know. So just because, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, and like I said, it may be nominal, but it just, you mentioned it, right? Like the IRS thing, like that would be an example. Now, that's not going to cause the town to come to a screeching halt, but I'm sure it's not the only thing. So thank you for listening. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment on items not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will move to expenditures. Deputy Mayor, would you please read the expenditures for February 11th, 2025?
Yes, the expenditures for February 11th, 2025 is $5,432 or $895.24 or 94 cents.
Okay,
I need my glasses.
so I just need a motion to approve the expenditures
May I have a motion to approve the expenditures?
of,
$5,432,895.94.
just need a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
the bill list totals by fund dated February 11th, 2025, and the grand total amount of $5,432,895.94 is approved. Next up, we have 3 ordinances for introduction tonight. However, an issue was raised requiring a possible amendment to the ordinance. And because that amendment, there's a question of whether it's material or not material. I think the safer course is to table these 3 ordinances until we can reach resolution on that. So I would make a motion that we table the introduction of ordinance 2507, 2508, and 2509.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a second. Now, because it's an ordinance, do we need to do a roll call on a table motion?
I believe
Okay,
so.
yeah, so let's do a roll call. Again, it's the motion, we're not to table ordinance 2507, 2508, and 2509.
We can debate the matter if anybody wanted to.
So a yes is to table it, a no is to continue on.
Yes, correct.
Councilman Scott,
Yes.
Councilman Blumetti,
Yes.
Councilman Chiarello,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes, so ordinances 2507, 2508, 2509 have been tabled. Just translation for those in the viewing at home, that means there will not be any discussion or anything about these ordinances. And so if you're in the audience to talk about this, even in public comment, it's not going to be brought up today. It doesn't stop you. You can say whatever you want to say. But anyway, I just wanted folks to know that. So now we are not introducing any ordinances. We have no hearing of the ordinance. We are now at our second public comment period dealing with the resolutions. And so this, you're going to want to take a look at page 5 of the agenda, which lays out the resolutions. And so if you have a public comment that you'd like to make regarding these resolutions, please step forward, state your name for the record, and please be mindful of the 5-minute, very annoying beeping sound.
Did you fix it, Dan?
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you.
Jenny Derrick's Tap into Sparta. I have a couple of questions. 9, I don't have the number in front of me. Health benefit consultant. Is that, did I read it correctly that that is something that is required?
It is.
Okay,
This is a 3-year renewal. Every 3 years, we
Okay.
renew the health consultant, and he's been the same consultant with us for at least 6 years, I believe.
thank you. 9.5, the traffic engineer, is this, I thought we had a traffic, I thought Neglia was approved at reorg, I guess I missed that. Is this one item for, it says review all land use ordinances, but it also references doing a study of Route 15. So is it wide in scope? Is it narrowly focused? What is the purpose of the land use, of the traffic expert?
Like an answer? It's generally, it's narrowly tailored to the PCEP zone, which was introduced 2 hearings ago. That's the primary purpose, but the Neglia engineer was originally retained or appointed for purposes of the Diamond Ship hearing primarily. So his scope was narrow. So this firm is to address the PCED review and the ultimate hearing of a resolution that will be needed in support of that ordinance.
Thank you. And then.
I'd like to make a clarification quickly, though.
Sure.
I don't believe that's factual. That Neglia was retained by the planning board for, not for Diamond Ship necessarily, but for all matters where the planning board felt they needed to get an expert opinion.
Okay, so it was a
If an
planning board
applicant had
appointment.
said something,
Okay.
and yeah, but it's the planning board, and it's, they reactivated a few weeks ago, reappointed it.
Okay, oh, that's where I saw it. Thank you. And then finally, 9.7, the appointment or reappointment of Elise Hubbard as conflict counsel. And I would suggest that she herself is conflicted if we have the major matter of Diamond Chip have to go back to the zoning board. She's already led the zoning board through that hearing, which you know, and made a statement really exposing a bias that, we beat them once, we can beat them again, seemingly not unbiased and not unconflicted or non-conflicted or whatever the proper phrase would be. So I'm just asking if you would reconsider that appointment as conflict counsel as probably the most major conflict hearing that they may have or matter that the zoning board may hear would be Diamond Chip, and she seems to have already been conflicted out of that. Thank you.
But she's a conflict counsel, right? Not the primary counsel.
Correct. I'm saying as conflict counsel, she would hear Diamond Chip because the Keynes is conflicted, Mr. Keynes is
So they're
conflicted.
both conflicted, you're suggesting.
And so I'm suggesting that because she's already heard and expressed publicly her, her opinion about giving adequate support for the township regarding Diamond Chip, that she herself is conflicted in what would potentially be the major issue that would come to see the conflict counsel at zoning board.
I understand, it's a good observation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we will address that at the resolutions. I think independent of what you just said, there's some cost considerations that I think we need to be mindful of, and I think we'll get to that there are already, I think Planning Board has 2 conflict counsel, and so I think I would like, for my purposes, to see whether one of those conflict counsel can do double duty, because it doesn't seem to make sense to me to have 3 separate conflict counsels. There may be some cost savings involved, so I'm not addressing the merits of, what you raised. It's more in my mind. So when we get to that, I think I would like to look into that, of whether it would be possible for the conflict attorney that we already have, whether they can do double duty at the zoning board. That way, we don't have 3 separate attorneys doing, so I think there could be some cost savings involved.
The matter of the planning board's conflict counsels needs to be discussed between you and the planning board. I don't believe that they both are remaining. I believe that the dual appointment was to make sure they were covered while they were waiting for the person that they wanted to stay in that position to be appropriately certified.
Yeah, and there's also an issue about, I'm not quite sure why this is actually before the council, because my understanding is these appointments are done at the planning board and at the zoning board, and, we're the funding source, but we're not the appointment source. And so I would like to get some clarification about that before we actually vote on it, but when we get to it, I'll just give you a preview. You're probably going to hear a table motion from me, because I want to get some clarification anyway. So thank you, though, for your comments. Anyone else about want to give a public comment about the resolutions? Okay. Seeing no one, I would like to make a motion to approve the following resolutions together. They are 9-1, 9-2, and 9-3. For the motion, may I have a motion to approve resolutions 9-1, 9-2, and 9-3?
I make a motion to approve 9-1, 9-2, and 9-3.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Resolutions 9-1, 9-2, 9-3 have been approved. We will now do the next one by one. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-4, which is a resolution to appoint a health benefits consultant?
I move that we approve Resolution 9-4.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
And I just have a clarifying question. Mr. Zepp, and there's a whereas clause, the third one, is that supposed to be how this particular consultant is paid? Or I'm trying to figure out how much are we paying this person, how I can figure that out from the resolution.
Well, it looks like that third whereas clause where it's talking about $49.69 per employee,
That's how much.
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
pay
Per month?
employee.
right, in the dental, and that would be the fee, and that's multiplied by the number of employees that are
Okay.
participating in the health plan. And
That's
he's
not
p-
what we
he-
pay him, that's what we pay.
That's what we pay him to represent the employees.
I was going
Each
to ask,
employee.
how is that, where's that come from was my question, what's the origin of that? Because it comes to $643 per employee per year.
That's probably not a monthly charge. It's probably.
Yeah, I
That's
believe it is a
monthly?
monthly charge, but I'll be honest with you, Michelle and I worked on this, and we hadn't done a renewal in a while, and so we were trying to catch up and get everything, legitimized here. So, but I can look into that, and I'll get you accurate information.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we've had a motion and a first and a second, so now we can give it up for a vote. All those in favor of approving Resolution 9-4, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 9-4 is approved. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-5, which is a resolution of the governing body of the Township of Sparta authorizing the award of a contract for professional traffic engineering services with McDonough and Ray Associates for reviews of Sparta Township zoning ordinance. So I just need a motion to approve Resolution 9-5 as read.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 9-5.
May I have a second, please?
Table it.
I will second it. And before we vote, again, I think this was in response to Ms. Derrick's question, but I think it may bear repeating. What's the purpose of awarding a contract for McDonough and Ray Associates? Could you just mind repeating?
Actually, before you respond, I'd like to call a point of order.
Sure.
I'd like to ask if Attorney Dash plans to recuse yourself from this, any discussion from this matter, and then involving the PCD zone.
What's your basis?
Well, Attorney Dash, and again, this is purely administrative. This is not personal in any way. That Attorney Dash has a very public and pronounced history of activism on this matter, and I think that would be compromising, or at least call into question objectivity. And I can cite a couple of things. There was an August 8th. Starts actually with a June 13th, 2023 meeting where Attorney Dash spoke for 25 minutes on the subject. Again, on August 8th, spoke for 23 minutes on the subject in front of the council. Offered phrases such as, "We're here to have our goals accomplished, and we want to restrict development completely." And I also have a letter to the editor of a local online media, which was dated August 3rd, 2023. Submitted under the byline of Sparta Responsible Development, so it's sort of a position statement. I know you were the president of the organization at this time. Did you write this letter yourself, Gina? Do you remember?
Can you refresh my memory as to the letter?
I don't need to read the whole thing, but it was a statement about the PCD zone and advocating for using Section 62 of the Municipal Land Use Law to basically close down development in this matter. And I'll read a section of it that we asked the council to see. What we ask for is the council to see that Ordinance 23-15 is for what it is, a mistake, no matter how well-intentioned. Amended, table it, consider it alternatives, but do not treat it as a promise is kept. When last November, we sent the council the exact opposite message. We didn't vote for any half measures to be fixed later. We didn't vote for the system is working like the old council. We didn't vote to hand over open space to developers. Instead, we voted overwhelmingly for decisive action to protect Sparta and to protect it with boldness and courage. As a council, you have the legal tools at hand to tighten up this ordinance now, emphasis on now, and give this Sparta the breathing room it needs at this literal choke point in our township. And as residents of Sparta, let's be there on Tuesday to join the discussion, suggest other uses for this land, and witness a vote which we pray will honor the promise of the last fall's election. So again, activism is good, and it's better on sort of on that side of the dais, but I think taken in some, I have cause for concern. So those were the basis for my request. And again, this is just purely administrative in nature.
Well, thank you for those comments. I don't believe those comments warrant a recusal under the current circumstances, the facts, and the law relating to recusal. But that's certainly the council's discretion.
No, I think, I'll speak for myself. I think that all attorneys advocate all kinds of positions, and that it will be up to this council to determine whether we're receiving objective and impartial advice. And I think that your first duty is as an attorney to render that objective and impartial advice. And I have every faith that you will do so. I personally don't have an issue with you giving advice about the Section 62 PCD, irrespective of your prior advocacy on the topic. I think that we're all capable of assessing the advice that you give, and we can heed it or reject it at our own discretion. So,
I do see in our own list of ordinances, Chapter 2, 6-9, where it describes how the council should act under a conflict of interest, and the applicable sentence here is that the council, upon request, shall be noted in its minutes, shall authorize any part-time officer or employee to disqualify himself with respect to a specific matter or subject. I don't know if that means that the council votes on this. Maybe it's, as you said, Mayor Clark, each one makes their own mind as to how we handle that information. I don't know how to interpret it.
well, if you think you want to make a motion that the council vote that Anand Dash recuse himself, you can make that motion.
I think that would be wise, so I think I will make a motion that Attorney Dash recuse himself, again, for administrative purposes only, on matters related to the PDRM zone. I'm sorry, the PCD zone.
I'll second.
Okay, why don't we do a roll call?
Councilman Scott,
Councilman Scott.
No. Wait, look, can I understand
No,
this?
We can debate the motion.
So the motion is that under Councilman Chiarello's view, that Anand Dash must recuse himself from offering advice about the PCED, any ordinances affecting the PCED based on his prior advocacy on the topic. And so he's moved that we vote that Anand Dash recuse himself from any discussion of that. So that's the motion. A yes vote is yes, you agree he should recuse. A no vote is no, you don't think he should recuse.
Thank you. No. No.
Councilman Blumetti,
I think there might be some credibility here, yes.
Councilman Chiarello,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murphy,
No.
Mayor Clark.
No. The motion is
Thank you for
failed.
entertaining that.
Okay, so we have, did we get I can't, after that,
I do have additional questions before we move on to a vote. If anybody
on
else-
9-5?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Is now, okay. So,
Yes.
So I think it was alluded to before, is there a reason why we're not using the planning board's newly appointed traffic engineer in this matter?
We had reached out to him and he did not respond to the request.
Second question, how did we settle on McDonough and Ray Associates to be awarded this contract?
The council had, go ahead.
McDonough and Ray were the traffic engineers that were involved in the Roxbury Harts Mountain decision. They were also involved in, and they're recognized as the leaders in the state.
Right, so I'm sure their CV is impressive, but how did we end up, I'm sure there are other traffic engineers that have equally impressive resumes. How did we end up awarding this no-bid contract to McDonough and Ray?
I don't think we've awarded it yet. We haven't.
How did the name come up for consideration this evening?
Were there any other,
Get him out of the phone book?
yeah, we did get a non-response from the traffic engineer selected by the planning board. After that non-response, I assume we looked at who in this space does traffic engineering, is that right?
Correct.
Council,
And
okay.
Yep, and there were considerations of availability and quality.
Is this person related to SRD or any other legal professionals from SRD?
Not that I'm aware of. He's based in Bergen County.
Okay.
Wasn't that Manasquan?
They have an office in Bergen County, maybe.
Are there any other questions with respect to 9.5?
I'm sorry, Westfield.
I have some questions.
I do have a couple more.
Okay.
So I'm looking at there's specific language in this, specifically the first point states that seems to imply a predetermined outcome of these studies. It says, the vicinity of North Village in furtherance of the governing body's duty to ensure and protect the safety, health, and welfare of the public. It seems to sort of, as I say, the language here implies a predetermined outcome, not just a matter of studying it with an objective view of, what's the level of traffic here. I think that's language is rather inappropriate for this.
Speak up. I'm sorry.
Said I think the language, especially in this first statement here, is implies a predetermined outcome because it specifically references the point of the study to ensure and protect safety, health, and welfare of the public. It seems to, as I predetermine the outcome rather than have an objective study to see what we find. So anyway, I think that language is problematic.
Well, that was also brought about by Chief McCarrick, that is the largest area of accidents in the town, right?
Or if you get the most accidents where there are the most cars, that's sure.
I think
I don't
you're
think
actually.
you said that. I think you said the most accidents.
I think you're reading it wrong. I think that the operating principle that enables us to hire a traffic engineer is the duty that we all have here to protect the safety and welfare of the public. It's not a predetermined outcome. It's the operating principle upon which this entire council operates. And so that's the operating principle that enables us to appoint a traffic engineer to make an assessment of the traffic in this area so that we can, adhere to our duty to protect the safety, health, and welfare. It doesn't say McDonough and Ray have to find have to have some finding whatsoever. They're professionals. They're not going to, they'll come up with whatever assessment they come up with.
That's your reading. Thank you. That's all I have at this point.
Okay.
I have some questions, if I can. So again, I go back to, there was some mention of Neglia Engineering Services, who was also very reputable and was renewed for the planning board. This is not the first appointment, that there was a non-response. Can someone describe that a little bit more?
Yeah, so I had, after consultation with the mayor, reached out to Neglia to see whether he'd be interested in performing this work. And there is a time sensitivity to this, and he did not respond to the request.
Did they receive the request?
It was a phone call to his office to call back, and he did not respond to that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, let me just jump on here. So is there a reason that you were coordinating this search for a traffic engineer and not the town manager, or?
It was done in consultation with the town manager.
Okay, thank you.
So why not have the planning board conduct this traffic study or be involved with it?
Well, I mean,
Typically, that's in their domain, right? They do land use, right, planning analysis, and they have a traffic engineer.
I'm on the planning board, and I'm the gentleman that sourced this gentleman.
That's great that you sourced it, Mark. I'm not asking that. I'm asking why wasn't the planning board, why aren't they involved in this activity?
because this is an ordinance that originates from town council. So because it's an ordinance that originates from town council then has the authority to determine whether a professional is necessary for this ordinance that originates from them. I think second of all, the fact that we did reach out to Mr. Neglia, we gave the deference necessary. Apparently, he couldn't respond, or I can't speak for why he didn't respond. So it's not like we didn't try.
So Councilman Clark, you said you sourced this, so you have a relationship? How did?
No,
relations-
no,
Yeah.
That's
sorry,
not
no,
how
no
it
one
was
has a
done.
relationship. I said that this is an
I meant
ordinance.
Councilman Scott, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, no, okay.
You
No, I
said,
don't have a relationship.
okay.
So I just might have been asked before, but it's on my list, so I want to ask again. So what vetting took place, who referred this firm, and was it a recommendation of Mr. Warner?
No, I don't believe so. I've been in the real estate business for 35 years. I've been doing traffic studies for 35 years. I called some of the top people I knew that could give me names of people that were dependable and reliable and did a good job. I came up with this gentleman's name. I called him. He responded. He was able to do the job in the time necessary, and he was recommended by one of the biggest developers in the state multiple times.
So I noticed that the resolution does not include a dollar amount. So typically, it would be reasonable and to expect there'd be a dollar amount of what we're approving in here. So, I mean, I need to know, are we approving a $5,000 job? Are we approving a $100,000 job?
I think
What
it's
is the scope of
not to
work?
exceed 8,500.
8,500.
Correct.
yeah, in the
8,500?
agreement.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's, we'll find budget dollars for that, because this is extraordinary, not expected.
Yeah, it gets absorbed. I mean, there's a contingency in the budget. It can do so much.
Okay. And my last point is that I am concerned about that, the scope of the work as it's defined in 9.5, particularly where it says provide professional traffic engineering services in relation to reviews for township zoning ordinances, which seems much broader than $8,500 and just this one case, including but not limited to the PCED ordinance, et cetera, et cetera. So and down below it says the same thing. It's about reviewing zoning ordinances, plural, and not limited to PCED zone. So for $8,500 and for this emergency need, I would like to make a motion that we slightly modify this resolution to remove the references to reviews of township zoning ordinances but not limited to, and just leave it in there for the PCED zone, because that's really what the purpose is here.
Yeah, if I could address that. So I think respectfully, the intent of this is as he's conducting his review of the PCED zoning ordinance, he may need to review other zoning ordinances as part of his ultimate conclusions and study. And so that is the primary purpose of this, as indicated in the first whereas clause, is to address the resolution in relation, the ordinance, in relation to the PCED, and that review may necessitate him to review other zoning ordinances as part of his work to form an opinion with respect to the PCED.
I'll second your motion, by the way.
Can you elaborate more on that? Because a traffic engineer looks at roads and traffic conditions, not necessarily digging into the details of zoning that was set up by planning board, zoning board, planning board or governing body in the past. So I could see where he or she may need to look at other roads in the area or roads around other zones, but not digging into zoning ordinances. That's not the job of a traffic engineer, and not for an emergency quick use for this. We have processes and structures in place for that. This is way beyond the scope of what a
Councilman
traffic engineer would do.
Blumendi, do you know, have you been a traffic engineer? Do you know what they need to review in order to perform their duties?
Have you?
I think you got an explanation that in order to perform his work, he needs to look at other zoning ordinances. Now, you disagree with that, but what I'm asking you is if you're going to try to cabin this, you need to have a basis for why you think he should not be allowed to look at other zoning ordinances in order to conduct his work with respect to PCED.
Well, then let's write that in there. Let's write that any reviews of other ordinances and other scenarios are related to this job. That's fine.
Okay, so what's your motion? What language do you want?
I don't know, Mr. Dash, do you have a recommendation to help us craft
Yeah,
that?
well, respectfully, I think the ordinance, the resolution as drafted, on its face states he's going to perform a traffic study of the Route 15 corridor in the vicinity of North Village. And the aspect that you're focusing on, the reviews of the Sparta Township zoning ordinances, is part and parcel of his work because the intensity of a use or the nature of a use drives traffic. So in order for an expert who is qualified to do a complete study, he's not looking at just the vacuum of the traffic and the traffic study count. It's a conglomeration of the review of the zoning ordinances and the traffic and his observation, and that in totality will form his opinion on the Route 15 corridor as it relates to the PCED ordinance.
So what you're saying is that this still could use language that says this is focused on the review of the PCED zoning ordinance.
It's certainly your prerogative if you want to, if you believe there's language to fine tune it. I think it stands. And the plain language of it speaks for itself, but certainly feel free to make a motion. I don't have respectfully a suggestion on how to further alter it.
Yeah, my concern is that we would be, no one up here has a traffic engineer who knows what he needs to review to conduct his work. And so I would, any type of language that way may cabin the expert in a way that prevents that expert from actually being able to perform the duties upon which he is being appointed. And so I think the language with the clarification that that Attorney Dash has provided, that the review of the zoning ordinances or for the purpose of doing a traffic study with respect to PCD zoning ordinance. So he's not doing a wholesale traffic study on a bunch of different zones and ordinances. He has to
Okay.
consult other ordinances.
I think the easy solution then, a win-win, would be that in the second whereas where it has funds are available for this purpose, we say funds of a maximum of $8,500 are available for this purpose.
Okay.
That's in the
Because-
contract, right?
It's in the agreement.
In the agreement?
It is.
I would like that in the resolution. I'd like to make a motion that I'll withdraw the other
Okay.
motion earlier. So I'd like to make a motion that in the second whereas, we insert funds, after word funds, we put a maximum of $8,500 are available for this purpose. So then that will meet other needs of what we're hiring this firm for.
Okay, so the motion is to amend Resolution 9-5 to add, under the second whereas clause, the following phrase, after the word funds, of a maximum of $8,500 are available for this purpose. So
It's not to exceed 85.
not to exceed. So I'll start again. So may I have a motion to amend Resolution 9-5 to insert the following phrase in the second whereas clause after the word funds of not to exceed $8,500 are available for this purpose. So that's the motion,
I'll second it,
okay?
or I'll second it. I think you made it. I'll make the motion. Okay.
Okay, and you second it, so all those in favor say aye.
I think we should have a vote since.
You want a separate
call
vote?
vote.
Okay,
Councilman Scott,
No.
Councilman Blumetti,
Yes.
Councilman Chiarello,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murphy,
No.
Mayor Clark.
yes. So the 9-5 has been amended to add the maximum of $8,500. Next, we now have to make a motion to approve Resolution 9-5 as amended.
Before we go there, I've got one more point I want to make. I want to state that, I want to acknowledge that Mayor Clark called me out by name in a social media post suggesting I was encouraging automobile accidents and putting the safety of the people of this town at risk. It was then accompanied by an image of a rather dramatic automobile accident in the post, and I found that in extremely poor taste. I'm also reading from the
Where-
LTE, I'm not finished, letter that I mentioned before. There was a phrase here that says, and so the friendly business environment as envisioned by the planning board will be as deadly to the hopes for a livable Sparta as a bullet through the heart from friendly fire. I made this remark about a year and a half ago when I first encountered that remark, saying that I found that particularly insensitive and insulting.
Wait,
I'm not finished.
Well, wait,
please
I
stop
will
interrupting
correct
me.
you to,
Please stop
you were
interrupting
referring
me.
to a letter to the editor that I did not write.
I'm
So
not,
if
I
you're
did
ma-
not say a letter to the editor, I said a social media post. I'm going to continue now. I said I found that particularly insulting, that letter to the editor that I mentioned before, because as I said, I have a friend who was a military veteran in the U.S. Army that was killed by being shot through the heart from friendly fire. And I'm sure every combat veteran would recoil at the insensitivity of that comment. And the reason I bring this up is because both of these public statements use violent imagery to promote what I view as a rather extremist position on this topic. And it's dangerous and unbecoming of people in leadership positions in our community. And that's my end of my statement.
So I don't know, first of all, just to clarify, I don't know who wrote that letter to the editor. I certainly did not. I don't know if you were implying that either I or Mayor Clark
I
did.
don't know whether or not you did. I know that you were the president of the organization under which that was submitted. I don't know if that, what your involvement specifically in that letter is.
Well, I think it's speculation and inappropriate for you to raise that at a part of a public meeting.
I don't agree.
Well, of course you don't agree, but you made your views pretty clear, and I'm making my views pretty clear, that it's inappropriate to raise allegations as part of a public meeting in a letter that I did not write. So you can disagree all you want.
I don't think I said specifically you wrote it.
You did. You attributed that letter to me, and as I'm
The attribution
recalling
was
it.
because you were the president of the organization to which that submitted that as a policy statement.
Well, that's a stretch to say that an organization that has several thousand followers, somehow I attribute it to that
I
letter.
don't think any follower would submit a letter to the editor on behalf of the organization itself. I think the organization would submit a letter.
But you're
to the
just,
organization.
respectfully, you're wrong, so you can proceed in that same fashion if you like.
Yeah, and so to the extent that Councilman Chiarello either implied or stated affirmatively that I or Councilman Dash were an author of that letter to the editor,
I did
let
not
the
make that
record
assertion.
reflect, the record will be what the record will be. That is untrue. We did not write it. We had no participation in it. So to the extent I just want to make sure the record reflects that. Okay, with that, can we finally get to a roll call on 9-5?
Councilman Scott,
Actually, I think we voted
Are
on 9-5.
are we voting?
We're on 9-6.
As amended.
as amended.
This is
We're
as
voting on
amended.
as amended.
I think we finished that,
No, I think
didn't we?
No, we voted to amend the ordinance.
what
We did
happened?
not
To amend
vote
it,
to
okay.
approve the ordinance.
Now you're voting as amended.
Yeah, as
Adding
amended.
the words at a maximum 8,500.
8,500.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Councilman Blumetti,
No.
Councilman Chiarello,
No.
Deputy Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes, Resolution 9-5 has passed. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-6 as authorizing the transfer of grant monies awarded through the Sustainable Jersey Small Grants Program funded by the PSEG Foundation?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 9-6.
I will second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Resolution 9-6 has passed. Next is, I would like to make a motion to table Resolution 9-7. The reason being is that, one, I want to get clarity on why we are having to do a resolution regarding an appointment. Normally, the appointment is sole jurisdiction of the zoning board and planning board. Second of all, I think there's some cost considerations that we should consider about whether some of the council that we already have at planning board can do double duty at the zoning board. So in light of those two things, I would like to make a motion to table 9-7 while we do an investigation of those two issues. So may I have a motion to table 9-7?
I make a motion to table 9-7.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Right, all those in favor say aye.
One quick comment.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm not sure we're going to necessarily find large cost savings because the conflict attorneys are only, there's no retainer. They're only paid when they're needed for certain applications or jobs, but it's still worth looking into, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so all those in favor of tabling 9-7, say aye.
Aye.
So 9-7 is tabled. Next is a motion to, a resolution, sorry, may I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-8, resolutions authorizing the display of commemorative flag on township-owned flagpoles. And those particular flags are identified in Attachment A to the resolution. So I need a motion to approve Resolution 9-8.
I move that we approve Resolution 9-8.
All right,
I
may
will second it.
Okay, just a procedural question. Now that we've listed all these flags under Attachment A, are we going to have to do a separate resolution for each of those now? Or is this, the purpose of this resolution is to vitiate that, so we don't have to do it every single time? Is that right?
Unless you have someone that has a special interest, they'd have to come before council and they'd have to be approved. So I'd have that resolution on for that particular flag. It wasn't included in this.
Okay, so, but, for example, you know, in August, we plan to do the U.S. Coast Guard. In August, we're not going to need to do another resolution for the Coast Guard. This
No.
helps streamline this
Yes,
process, right?
absolutely.
Okay. All right, with that clarification, I think I understand what we're doing here, and I appreciate the efficiency and that this enables us.
Excellent idea.
So,
Whoever's it was, yeah, very efficient.
okay, so we have a first and a second. All those in favor of approving Resolution 9-8, say aye.
Aye.
Resolution 9-8 is approved. Next up, we have council liaison update.
Mayor,
What?
we have another resolution,
Oh, thank you.
9-9.
9-9.
Okay.
Yep.
Where's 9-9? Okay, sorry, thank you. This is, may I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-9? It's a resolution supporting participation in the Sustainable Jersey Municipal Certification Program and establishing a Green Team Advisory Committee. And I notice in the resolution, you'll see the members of this green team. So may I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-9?
I make a motion, we approve Resolution 9-9 to add a green team.
May I have a second, please?
I will second.
All right, before we vote, can someone tell me what the green team is? What is this?
It's just what it sounds like. This is a program from the Sustainable New Jersey program, and Sparta's been pretty active in it for many years now. And this resolution is actually renewing our,
Participation and
right, it's renewing our participation. And in order to continue our bronze certification, they want to see the council's support of the program. We get a lot of participation and activity from the Environmental Commission. That's why a lot of these members listed here are also on the Environmental Commission. So by passing this resolution, it enables them to qualify to renew their certification for the township. And to the green team, they talk about a lot of green initiatives, and they look at all aspects of Sparta services, activities, programs, and they try and promote and advocate a more sustainable way of living.
getting speakers to come in, some from Rutgers
Okay.
that I know of.
All right. So thank you for that explanation. It sounds like a fantastic committee. And thank you, Councilwoman Murphy for helping with this resolution. All right, so all those in favor of Resolution 9-9, say aye.
Aye.
Resolution 9-9 is approved. Am I missing any? Are we done with the resolutions? All right, good. Okay, thank you. So council liaison updates, and I will start to my far right. Councilman Chiarello, do you have any updates, council liaison updates?
Yes, I have a couple. For the Sparta Sister City Committee, I have begun reaching out to many of the other municipalities named after Sparta in the United States. And to that end, I'd like to recognize and give a shout out to the following other Spartas that I have made contact with and had good conversations with. Mayor Alan Haywood of Sparta, Georgia, Town Manager Corey Reinecker of Sparta, Illinois, Downtown Development Manager Elizabeth Morris of Sparta, Michigan, Municipal Chair Doug Norman of Sparta, Minnesota, Mayor Misty Holt of Sparta, Missouri, and Mayor Kevin Riley of Sparta, Wisconsin. Look forward to working with them and the about 16, 17 other Spartas that we're still exchanging emails and phone calls with and messages with. The only other committee issue I'd like to bring up is at our last meeting on the 28th, we made appointments to the Film Ready Committee, and it occurred to me that those appointments were invalid because we passed the ordinance to create that committee on that same meeting, and ordinances don't take effect for 20 days. And so I think those appointments need to be made again after the ordinance takes effect. So I think that's just an administrative task that we have to do later on. And those are all my updates.
The quick update on Business Development Committee. So Mark and I sit on that. So we're getting close, probably a day or two away now, to securing space for the year with Roxanne, probably the new conference room, it sounds like. We're going to be targeting as long as it's available, but the fourth Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. And we're targeting also to have our first meeting in late February. Mark and I reviewed the charter, and we're going to be meeting to establish the objectives, agenda structure, and then reaching out to the members with a welcome communication and get the party rolling.
Sorry, a point on that. The fourth Thursday is an Environmental Commission meeting date. Are you still meeting in the morning?
No, we're going to meet in the different conference rooms. Same, here, but not in this room. So we're planning it.
Is that meeting open to the public? And if it is, I don't know how many public members can be that room can accommodate.
Well, let's see how.
Something to consider.
Yeah, we'll have to think about that, if that room is big enough. I don't know how many seats are in there. I haven't seen it finished.
Where, here, the front one?
It's
Quite a
almost
few.
done.
Almost done? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's a good point. We'll have to look into that. Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, and I'll have to do double duty with the deputy mayor we had the Rev 250 meeting, was it last week? I
Yeah.
think, and part of that was bringing in what I call stakeholders in the community who would be interested in participating in the events, and we did get a very good turnout, a lot of energy, and I think that there's a lot of discussions going to happen about, and actually hopefully execution on having our stakeholders participate in some of the events. So for example, there's a baseball team that may be interested in doing a demonstration of a colonial game. I know the Boy Scouts were represented there, and they've already helped with cleaning the graves of some of the Revolutionary War graves. And I'll let you jump in because I had to leave the meeting early for another meeting.
They've planned, they want to plan something every month for the year. They're going to start with, well, I don't know if this is going to start with, but they're going to have a tavern talk that used to happen, and at Crow's has graciously accepted the proposal to have everybody there for a tavern talk. It's in the old days. And they have the Sparta Education Foundation is going to help with grants for this. In March, there's also going to be one in Newark, but there's a website that you can go to. It's revnj.org that will give information about the whole programs that people are doing. I guess it's a throughout the country. And also the Historical Society in March is going to be a speaker. One of the actresses from SUF will be speaking there on the 20th. And they're going to have try to do a Sparta, they were talking about doing a Sparta publication, Images of Sparta, with a bicentennial theme. And HOPLA, which is a library website, HOPLA, that has to do with some of the revolutionary I don't know exactly what. I didn't get any more on that. Do you know anything about the HOPLA? And Dan, they said that, Dan,
Yes, I'm listening.
there is a list that you had of different events or different, you had a bullet, some kind of list that you had last year that you presented or you
I
put
put
up?
everything in a document and shared that with the entire committee. I can send it another copy to you if you'd like.
Would
It's-
you mind?
It's also on our SharePoint site.
Oh, okay.
Under, if you go in the, under committees,
Okay,
and then you'll see the Revolution NJ Committee, and you'll see the plan, and the document's all there.
okay,
I can point you to it.
thank you.
Sure.
And that's all I have. we haven't had any other meetings
Okay.
yet.
Yeah, we also had a Trails Committee meeting. I was unable to attend due to a conflict, a work conflict, so I will be able to report about that at the next meeting. And we have yet to schedule with Lake Mohawk, but we will. Also working with the school board, picking a date. It will be on a Monday. We just have to figure out what that date is. So that meeting is forthcoming. And other than that, I have no other updates.
Okay, the planning board met last weekend. We had approved a new tenant in the Upper Lake. It's a MMA teaching school, and they're going to be moving in there soon. Also, we approved a bagel shop in the abandoned gas station down here at Woodport Road and Sparta Avenue, and so that'll be a good addition to the town. The business, as Dean said, he's really helped me set up this, he's really driven the ball on setting up the business committee meetings, which will be on the fourth Thursday of the month. The Sparta Chamber meets on Thursday at 8 a.m. at the Sparta Diner, and the Municipal Alliance will meet next week on, the Municipal Alliance meets this Thursday at 3:30 p.m. I'm sorry, the Sparta Chamber meets next Tuesday at 8 a.m. at the Sparta Diner. That's the end of my report.
And then just to add for the environmental, we got the 9-9 approved.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to skip over you. Do you have any other updates?
Not on the environmental.
Okay. All right. Any other updates
But now,
that council has to any of the committees of which they are liaisons?
I would just like to ask if, Councilman Scott, would you mind sharing a little bit more about the planning board latest on all the attorney changes? I didn't watch the full meeting last Wednesday, I had a conflict, but I'm concerned about the situation, all the changing attorneys and the ability of the planning board to function and conduct business like within the statutory timeframes for all the applications can you just share an update on what's happening with all the attorneys and if it's going to impact the
Certainly.
timeframes?
Last week, the planning board approved Mr. Aller. He's an attorney out of Rockaway, and he is going to be the conflict attorney, and he will be serving. He served last week, and he will serve through the end of the month as the conflict attorney, or as our primary attorney. He did a wonderful job, and we got rave reviews throughout the planning board. It seemed like everybody was very happy with him. We also have another wonderful candidate, which will be hopefully approved in the next, let's see, I guess it would be within the next, at the next meeting to become the full-time attorney. And he's a top-notch gentleman, and I believe he'll be approved.
Was there, so there's a new candidate in mind, was there a search done, or how was the planning board going about finding a new regular attorney after Mr. Warner left?
Sure, there was a search done. About 20 different attorneys were contacted. They were asked if they were available on these days, if they were interested in the position, and we were able to narrow it down, and we were able to find a wonderful attorney from a major real estate firm to step in and be interviewed at the next meeting.
You said real estate firm? Is it?
Real estate legal firm, yes. This is land use, right?
Yeah.
Planning
yeah.
board, yes. So that's why we went
You meant-
with,
okay, meant land
instead of
use.
a marital firm, we
Yeah.
went with real estate firm.
Well, yeah, I thought you meant real estate as in purchasing, selling real estate.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I imagine that there's going to be vetting done to make sure that they have land use experience and they've served as a planning board
Yes,
attorney
they have
before.
land use experience. They currently serve on the, they've served, this gentleman has served on, I believe, 7 different planning boards and zoning boards over his career. And I think he'll be very happy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other liaison updates? Okay, we're now at unfinished and new business. And I will start, but before this, I need to ask if Mr. Dash could step aside while I make this motion. Step outside, please. Yeah, I would like a motion to authorize Manager Zepp to appeal the January 6th decision of the Department of Environmental Protection with respect to the water quality management plan amendment that was filed by Diamond Chip, I think Realty LLC. So the motion is to authorize Manager Zepp to appeal that decision of January 6th regarding the water quality management plan amendment for Diamond Chip. Just
I
need a-
second it.
Okay,
Was there a motion?
yes.
First motion?
That was the
Okay.
motion, right?
Okay, before we move on to a vote, why isn't this memorialized in a resolution?
It doesn't need to be.
Okay. But personally, my personal opinion on this is I find this to be a provocative action, and I personally have already voted on this twice, so I don't see any need to belabor this point.
The township is effectuating its appellate rights under the DEP regulations and statutory authority. So that is, we're doing an executive function here. So again, as the motion is, we have a first and a second, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
I will abstain.
So we have 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Is there any? I have no other new or unfinished business at this point, and we can now ask Mr. Dash to come back in.
I almost want my Drew pin next time.
Okay. Welcome back, Attorney Dash. I don't have any other unfinished or new business. I will go to my left. Deputy Mayor Murphy, do you have any unfinished or new business?
I do not.
Councilman Scott?
I'm good.
Okay. Councilman Chiarello, any unfinished or new business?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Councilman Blumetti, any unfinished or new business?
Just a question that was raised before by Councilman Chiarello is the film committee reappointments, they have to wait until the next meeting, I presume, because it's still not 20 days since,
From the naming?
from our last meeting. Yeah. Yeah, if we're going to wait 20 days from January 28th, we have to wait till our next meeting to get those people reappointed to the film committee. So
Well, I
there's
think,
no action tonight then, right?
Well, the committee doesn't exist until the ordinance takes effect.
no,
so
it
there's-
it exists.
True.
It exists, and it has existed. I think we were doing a belt and the suspenders, and we're not going to get into debate. I appreciate my council members who are not liaisons to that committee offering their input, but we will review whether there's a necessity to reappoint people. I'm not, looking at it right now, I'd have to see whether that is in fact necessary. If it is necessary, we'll do it. If it's not necessary, and simply an obstructory suggestion, then we'll deal
Not
with that.
obstructory, it's just administrative. I'm just trying to, we were very careful about
You're assuming
making
you're right.
appointments.
You may be wrong, so.
I know, I'm pretty sure that ordinances don't take effect for 20, 21 days after
20
they're
days. It would be
voted on,
February
so-
17th that it would be.
Right, so
February
there was no
17th
committee to
is the
appoint them
20th
to.
day.
If the point of the ordinance was to establish that committee. So I think it just would behoove all of us. It's not an attack on the committee or anything else. It's just as a matter of being, dotting our i's and crossing our t's, we should make those appointments again. Shouldn't impact the functions of the committee if the committee wants to, if these people want to keep meeting.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't need to be a member of the committee or a liaison, Neil, to observe administrative order, a point of order too.
Anything else you want to add about the movie? You
No,
guys
but-
seem pretty interested in it. Anything else
I
you
am
want to add?
interested in it. No, I was asking if any action had to be taken tonight. The answer is no. It's not on the fence. It's just
Well, I think,
administrative.
well, I couldn't take action anyway, because under you and Mr. Chiarello's argument, we can't appoint people till after the 20-day period has expired.
I think that's just the law. I don't think it's
20
us.
days?
Yes, every ordinance is 20 days. I didn't realize that night either. I mean, we all voted, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I missed it.
Any other unfinished or new business? Oh, go ahead.
No, thank you for this. This came. Mr. Scott and I went to the New Jersey League of Municipalities training, and which was very interesting, was very helpful. And the gentleman that's in charge is the mayor of Alpine, was on the last, he was on the cover of the last one we went. When we went, they gave us one, so. that
Thank
was-
you.
Yeah, thank you. That was very good, very helpful. That's all I have.
Okay. And my other new business is also to, and I know I speak for all of town council, to thank Roxanne for, the gifts that she gives, unfailing. Any type of holiday, she gives us a nice little treat, and we really appreciate it. Thank you. It's very thoughtful. So
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we're now at the final public comment period. So if you have a public comment, please come forward, state your name for the record, and please adhere to the 5-minute limit. All right, seeing no one come up, I will make a motion to adjourn. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.